All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is At the End, the Truth Shall Speak. And pretty much this is a lamb back off of Elder Apostle Tar's video that he did. I believe this was earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. Or could have been last night, but I believe it was earlier today. And pretty much, I wanted to kind of say a few words on it, because the apostle was going in how this small hat, he told the truth, showed, a picture of the Israelites in Egypt being brown skin from a, light brown to a dark brown. And he told the truth in that aspect, and then eventually he glazed it over with bullshit by trying to say that King David was red. And we've covered that topic many different times because these are controversial topics that the devil likes to use to their benefit, whenever it suits and fits them. And that's just the way it's going to be. If you're looking for the devil to change, well, guess what? You're wasting your time. Now, what I want to do, since I mentioned that about King David, I want to go to the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, right? And in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, you have a word called ruddy, all right? And this is found in the scriptures. Now, when you read about the only two times, well, it actually appears a couple of times, maybe like 3 times or so, a couple of times in the scriptures. And 2 of the times that it's, or more than 2 of the times, it's because it speaks about Esau being red and it speaks about King David being ruddy, right? So let's read the definition and we'll go into that. It says ruddy, a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. So they're admitting here that the Hebrews were dark-skinned people. All right. But they're saying that the word ruddy is used to refer to a red. Notice you got to listen to the word play. A word used to refer to a red or fair complexion. Which one is it? Is it red or is it fair? You see? And this is where the trickery comes in, tricknology, as Jake likes to use, right? Because when you look up the Hebrew word in Genesis 25:25, when it says that Esau is red all over, the word there in the Hebrew is adamawanya. And it said red all over like an hairy garment, which we have gone over this before. I believe that's Exodus either 35 or 25. It might be 25. All right, let's go to Exodus 25. And 5. And ram skins dyed red, and badger skins and shittim wood. Right, so when Esau... And see, this is why it's important to understand the definition of names and what they mean in their original language, which the IUIC, I don't know if they still have a problem with it. They used to have a problem with us, going into the Hebrew and the Greek. Why, I don't know. And they had a problem with us calling ourselves Hebrew Israelites. Why, I don't know. But anyways, besides the point, when you go to Genesis 25 and 25, when it says that Esau was red all over like a hairy garment, this was a different looking child than most children back then. Because you have to remember that the population of the earth were all so-called brown-skinned people. Everybody wasn't super charcoal dark. There was different shades. You had some that were very, very dark, which somebody would call blue-black, or that's a term that they have, blue-black, which is not really black. It's really just a super dark, rich chocolate brown. And then you had very light brown. You know, you've heard us bring it out. You know, pastors brought it out, brothers brought it out. You have women back in the days that were called red bones. I've heard brothers call women yellow bone. You know, you've heard Jay call each other yellow, you know. So these are the different shades of brown, you know, that go all the way back to the beginning. When Esau was born, he was born with a lack of pigmentation. And all children, when they're born pale, and then eventually their color comes in. You know, but when Esau was born, he was born very pale. That's why Isaac called him Esau, which goes back to the Hebrew word Ishah or Ishashwa. You know, in order to really get the understanding of the word Ishashwa, because if you look in the Blue Letter Bible, they're going to tell you it means hairy. It does not mean hairy. There's a difference between the word hairy and the word, you know, Esau. All right. Let's see. Genesis 25. I just want to check out something real quick, because in Genesis 25:25, it says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Let's see what they say for hairy, since the word hairy is in here. See? Sha'ir. So the word Esau does not mean hairy. And that's not why his father called him that, because he wasn't hairy like they are, you know, like when they get older, you know, but he was red all over like an hairy garment. And hairy garments back then, or garments in general, were dyed different colors depending on who they were selling it to, what person wanted it, the color, maybe the color of a family's, you know, a coat of mail, or whatever the case may be. You know, they would use different colors to dye, you know, the garments. And you had garments that were dyed red. So the word Sha'ir is totally different from the word Esau, right? And they call his name Esau. The word Esau is Ishah. Sha'ir and Ishah. Two different words. This is a compound word. Now here it says it goes back to Aisha, which is to do. It doesn't go back to that. Then it says here Esau, hairy. Then it says that they're progenitors of the Arab people, because they're always trying to get away from that. Remember, we read a while back, which we're going over from time to time, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. I'll say it that way. And in protocol number 16, it says that they will erase from history anything that's not favorable to them. And that's why when you try to research their history, it's very vague. And what they do is they incorporate our history to their history, and they erase their history. That's why you can't find it. The French philosopher Voltaire said that history is the lie commonly agreed upon. And for the most part, the people that are in power, they usually will make history favorable to them. And ever since Esau has taken over the world, going back to the Greeks, they pretty much have distorted and erased a lot of history. That's what they do. So Ishah, is a compound word, which the word Y at the end of a word, if it's not connected, means he or him. And the word Aish here, right, really is Aishash. It should be two shahs. Aishash. When you look in the Ben Yehudi, you know, in the Ben Yehudi, the English, Hebrew, English dictionary, it goes into that word Aishash, which they don't have. I don't have it here, and I don't know if I ever found it online. Yeah, I did find it online, but there were certain pages that you could never find. You know, and I wonder why. You know, like they'll let you go to different pages, but then certain pages they won't allow you to go to. You know? Let's see. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna put this over here so you can see. Let's see. That's the Cha. Nah. This is the, what is this? Okay, it's going, is it going? Yeah, it's going by the English. So it's kind of hard in this one because this one is only the one going from, you know, alphabetical order in English. There's one that goes alphabetical order, but it goes alphabetical order in the Hebrew. Now you see this page right here, this center page, every time you go to certain pages, there's a page that they won't allow you to view. So you really would have to buy the book in order to get it. But when you look up the word Aishah, you know, it's Shah, it means wasted. So when you put the word together, Aishashwa or Aishah, wasted away is he, or wasted he. Now, why did his father call him that? Because he looked totally different than the people did back then, color-wise. And what the word that they used to describe him as being red, when we go here to the word red, is the word Adamanya. Adamanya, which they use the same word to describe King David. But you notice when it described Esau, it described Esau as being red, right? When it described King David, right? What is that? 1 Samuel 16. What is that? 47? Nope. 17. Messenger. Let me just put in ruddy. I was in the right chapter. 1 Samuel 16 and 12. And he sent David anointed, and he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. You know, so he would be what you would call, you know, like a red bone, but not like super light, like, you know, like the red bones of today. You know, he was more like a, for lack of better words, you know, like an orangey, brownish kind of color. All right. It doesn't mean red. It didn't use the word red. Did it use the word red when it said that he was red? No, it used the word ruddy. And then it says here of Esau as an infant. So why didn't they use the word ruddy in Genesis 25 and 25 when it says, and the first came out red? Why didn't they use the word ruddy? See, because these devils are trying to put a spin, you know, and that's why you got to be careful with the blue letter. The blue letter Bible is a very excellent tool, very helpful, you know, to go through words and breakdowns and different things that you may need, but they also go off big time, and they do it. Sometimes they do it on purpose, you know, but pretty much that's the gist of it. So when we go here, right, it's the same word, Adamanya or Adamawanya. Let me see what it says here. Adamanya, right, which they say Admoni. It's Adamanya. And here it has the word Adamawanya. Adamawanya. Let's see what it has here for King David. It should be the same word. Adamawanya. Yep. All right. So when you go to the actual word for ruddy, it says a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion. So what is it? Is it red or is it fair? So in the case of it doesn't mean that, because when you type in, let's go real quick and type in ruddy. You know what? Ruddy people. We'll go to ruddy animals, ruddy people. These ruddy people are not. These are not. They try to say he's ruddy because of the reddish, brownish beard, not the skin color. See, this is where the technology comes in. They try to throw in the skin color. No, this is ruddy. This is ruddy. Her hair is ruddy. Her face is ruddy. You've heard Elder Pastor speak about, Detroit Red, which was Red Fox. And I believe the other one was Chicago Red, was it? Malcolm X. All right. He's a little lighter, like they will call like red bone, which they usually use that for the woman. But his hair is like an orangey, brownish tone. All right. Then you have here where they try to say that this was Esau. This was not Esau. Esau didn't look like this. Esau was red all over like a hairy garment. He was red. Jake was ruddy. King David. All right. Now, when you type in ruddy animals, right, this is what you get. Like an orangey, brownish color. You type in the word red heifer. Let's do red. Red heifer. Boom. What comes out? This is a picture. What comes up? A brownish, orangey, with Elder Malcolm explained it, with red overtones. But there's what? It's brown. The complexion of those children match these pictures more. These are new pictures. I've never seen these before. And you can see that these was actually they were something that was done to it. But you could see that the red heifer is ruddy. But Esau was red. King David was ruddy. When you go to those pictures in Egypt, Israel and Egypt, Israel and Egypt. Let me see if they'll bring up that picture, which is hard. A lot of times, they won't really bring those pictures out because they're trying to hide it. Remember, they play with the algorithms. We've been doing this for years, going back to 2007, just on YouTube. Select it for a minute. So what they do is they mess with the algorithms where you can't find Detroit Red. Okay, Malcolm X was Detroit Red. Okay, the water, bro. And I guess Red Fox, if I'm not mistaken, was Chicago Red or something like that. They're not gonna. How about, let's see, Joseph in Egypt? Sometimes it comes up like that. Here you go. This is at least something. See, these are tributary. These are Jakes. You can see these are a darker brown. With a little bit of red overtones with them. These are Israelites. Then you have some like these who are a little lighter. See? Little lighter. Then you have, the afros, the beards. They were, keepers of sheep. Which these actually look like deer, if I'm not mistaken. Right? And you have different, just different images that go back. That's why they couldn't just, dismiss that, because these are actual pictures that go way back. Now this one said this was what did it say this one was? Joseph and the Israelites in Egypt. And you could see Joseph with an afro and brown skin. And the Egyptians were not white. They were brown skin. The Egyptians the Pharaohs, because not all of the Egyptians were white during the Hellenistic period. You had the people that lived it, and you had people that migrated from different places. You had Israelites that lived there, and you had the ruling class, the Pharaoh and his family, that were the Edomites. And that happened around 2 something BC, when Ptolemy the first took over that region of Egypt, and they made themselves the pharaohs. And what they did, like these devils always do, they assimilated the culture, the dress code, the language. Well, actually, they kept the Greek language, but they assimilated the culture and the way that they dress and everything, and made themselves to be the new pharaohs. That's why you have certain images of pharaohs. Then you have these jakes that get mad when they see Cleopatra portrayed by a so-called white woman, when Cleopatra was an actual white woman. She was an Edomite. And there were about 7 of them, because that was just a title, just like Ptolemy was a title. So there was different Cleopatras. That was a title, and they were all Edomite women. You see? So this is not correct here. So I don't know what's going on with this picture. But anyway, you saw that picture. That picture was Joseph. There's another picture that actually shows Joseph, a real good one too. That one was good, but there was another one that shows him. I'm not sure if he's sitting down and they're catering to him. I'm not sure about this picture here. It looks too clean, so I don't know if this was a drawing, a later drawing. So we're not gonna be like they are. We're not gonna plagiarize, or we're not gonna lie like they do, because we don't have to lie. The proof is in the pudding, if you just try it. All right, let's see what else we got. Now look at this. Look at this right here. What do we have here? Why? Now I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Joseph, but look at his face. And look at this guy's face. They left the women, they're a little lighter brown, but the men, they totally scratched their faces off. What's going on with that? What's up with that? Just bear with me. No, that's not it. All right, let's see. What's this here? Yeah, so the bottom line is that the Egyptians were brown skinned, just like the Ethiopians were brown skinned, just like the North Africans, which was put, they were brown skinned, and just like the Canaanites, they were all brown skinned. And this is why in the scriptures themselves, when you go to Amos chapter 9 verse 7, the Most High said this distinction between Israel and the other nations. So what did the Most High mean by this here? Amos 9 and 7. Are you not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel. What does that mean? That means you look like them, because obviously it's not the attributes, it's not the customs, it's not their dress code, it's not their language, it's none of that. It's just the similarity in looking. And that's what you have, when you look at the so-called Ethiopian people, from a dark brown to a light brown, they look like Israelites. You see? But they're not. They're not Israelites. You have Israelites among them. Like you have the Eritreans, if I'm saying that correctly. You have, a lot of them are Jakes. I'm not sure of all of them, but, you have a lot of them that are Jakes, So the evidence is all over the Bible. When you bring out scriptures like this, what they do is they glaze over it with bullshit. But you can't glaze over the truth with bullshit, because eventually what it's going to do is going to come back and bite you in the ass. All right, let's go real quick to Habakkuk chapter 2. And what we're witnessing is Esau's desperate last attempt to try to save, his reputation, his empire. But what the Most High is doing is he's spewing, shameful spewing on their glory. Because you got to remember, these devils have set themselves up in a seat. They've tried to fill these big ass shoes. But the shoes, when you really look inside the shoe, like when you look on the outside, they have them on, it looks all right. But then when you actually take the shoe off and look inside the shoe, it's filled with all kind of newspapers, cardboard, different things to fill up the shoe, because their feet weren't big enough to fit them. So what's happening is, simultaneously, the Lord is breaking them apart and exposing them, because that is the very last part just before this man will go down, would be a great revealing. And the truth is doing that, just that. So Habakkuk 2:5, at 2 and 2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. And we see it. We got the scriptures, different languages, and everything is plain. Brothers out there teaching different languages, that he may run that readeth it. Those that are Israelites, that hear the message and understand, run for refuge. These devils are running, trying to save their empire. And this is why they're going to come down having great wrath, because they're seeing that all of their antics and the things that they've done are not working for everybody, because they were used to, for so long, controlling everything, and the cloak of secrecy to be there, that all of this exposure is not really fully helping them, even though it is, because one of the very last things that they wanted to do before establishing the NWO was to just come straight out and just tell everybody the truth. That's why they brought it out in their movies, sitcoms, so on and so forth. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. So now, how do we know when the time has come for this vision to, be revealed? Well, it says, but at the end it shall speak. And that's why the name of the lesson is called, at the end the truth shall speak. Because this devil here was running well, but when he ran into roadblocks, what he did was he muddled it up and glazed it over with bullshit. And the truth is breaking right through that, because you can't add any fillers. You can't add any preservatives. You can't add any junk. You can't add anything to the truth, because the truth is pure. And it breaks right through all of that bullshit. You can't tarnish it. You can't, it's not like gold or silver that can get tainted and eventually have to be, purified. The truth stays pure. in whatever form or wherever it may be at. So now that this devil's lies are being broken down, they're getting nervous. And that's why they're sending all of these individuals trying to come against the truth, bringing out truth, but like I said, glazing it over with bullshit. All right. Where are we at? So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Right. Because it's going to bust right through. And then it gives you different, things that these devils would do, and when you read this whole chapter, this is dealing with nobody else but these devils, the so-called white men, the Edomites, beginning with the international banking families. And not just because you look like a so-called white person means that you're an Edomite. It depends on where your family line goes back to. Some white-looking people go back to Israel, the real Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian. Some go back to other nations, but some go back to the Edomites. It depends on where your line goes back to. Now, let's go from there to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. Building on that point. And 28. And it says, as for faith, because you can start up above this, because this whole chapter is excellent also. Matter of fact, I'll go up to the 6th verse, because that sets the tone. Because when you go to the first verse, it tells you, and he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before any of these things happened, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightning, all of these things, right? Before the chimneys were hot in Zion, so on and so forth, right? It says, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin or turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. So this is before all of this happened. Then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. So the Lord is going to take this place out. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Because when you understand the Lord's creation, dealing with the earth itself, the earth is never going to be destroyed. It's always going to be here. When he created it, he created it to be everlasting, forever. Ever, 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 ever. The only thing is the different rulerships on it would be the ages that would rule from the beginning of time until Yahushua comes back and takes over. That's when the shift is going to come. That's when the change is going to come. That's when righteousness will rule, and iniquity and sin and evil will be put out. And everything will go back to its proper way. A glorious, beautiful, righteous kingdom. All right? And the prophets understood that. And that's why they wanted to know when Yahushua would come and suffer, because they knew that after he suffered, then the kingdom would come after. It says, or when shall the end of the first be, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. So all the way back then, roughly around 1800 BC or something like that. I believe Abraham came on the scene around 2000 something AD. So around that time frame, from the time when Jacob and Esau were born, that began the end of the world. When our Lord and Savior Yahushua came 2,000 years ago, that began the end of the days, the end of days. Now we're at the very end of it, and the person that would be in charge of the whole entire earth would be the Edomites, as it tells us here. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the last, because when you look up this word world here in the Latin, it goes into the word seculi. All right? Seculi or secular is synonymous with
eon or iwalam in the Hebrew, which eon, iwalam in the Hebrew, eon is the Greek, iwalam Hebrew, seculi is Latin. That all means an age or an uninterrupted rule. So when you would see the Edomites ruling the planet, that's when you know that the end of the world will come in. This is why we see so many things happening that is so, I believe a brother put up a video, said it, so much happening you can't even keep up, you know? And that's the truth. It's so much happening that it's impossible to keep up with everything. You know, that's why brothers have plethora, you know, of info and material resources to go into when they do their in the news videos. You know, because if you don't have any topic, you always got the in the news videos. And there's so much stuff happening that all you gotta do is just close your eyes and just start grabbing. And then boom, you know, and whatever you got, boom, you go into it, hit the scripture and move on. That's, you know, that's brothers, you know, that's how they, you know, that's one of their techniques that the Spirit gave them on how to, you know, deal with the truth. So when we look at Esau, we know those that are studied know that he goes back to Isaac's son, you know, which he had a twin brother named Jacob. They were fraternal twins, not identical twins. And they looked totally different from each other. One came out like one came out, you know, with a lack of pigmentation. The other one came out like a regular brown baby back then. You know, and then people say, how can that be? You know, Esau get he got with the Canaanite woman, then he got with the Ishmaelite woman, and the babies had to come out black like they were. Well, how come today you have two so-called black people? Even back then, you had two so-called black people. I say so-called black because they're really brown. Isaac and Rebekah, that had one son that was brown and another son that was what they term today albino. And you have that happening today, and the Spirit of the Lord is beautiful. Barakatah Yahweh Shemal Shai. The Lord is beautiful because he still has those very same examples happening today, to this very day. You type in, you know, in the Google, in the search engine, you type in, we know it's so-called black, but you type in black couples that have one black baby, one white baby, something like that. You know, because they don't understand so-called, so you got to put, you know, that. And you see a lot of instances where you have brown-skinned people, a man and a woman, having children, twins. One of them will come out looking like them, and the other one will come out looking like a so-called white person. Like, it's impossible for the Lord to preserve this devil. He gave Cain the mark, you know, and we believe that he came back through Esau. But the Lord just somehow, he forgot about that. Yeah, man, damn. I wish I would have remembered that. If I would have remembered that, I would have made sure that Esau that Esau didn't deal with the Canaanite woman or the Ishmaelite woman. That's one that escaped me. You don't think the Most High already knew about that? But it doesn't matter, you know, what they look like. Even though the identity of them is so-called white or red, you have Edomites all around the world looking like all the different nations, and they are still the wicked. You have Arab-looking Edomites. You have African-looking Edomites. You have East Indian-looking Edomites. You have so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indian-looking Edomites. But nobody ever talks about that. I was just sitting at the park earlier, meditating. I was going to do the lesson there, but I ended up coming back to the house because I forgot to actually upload the new moon and the memorial blowing of the trumpets and Day of Atonement, which I just uploaded. So keep in mind these dates, all right? Don't be coming back, 3 days later or 4 days later. When is the Day of Atonement? You got the videos. Save the videos. Mark it down on your calendar. You have cell phones. Stop being lazy. You have cell phones that have calendars in it that you can type in a particular day, okay, the new moon comes in so and such a day. And when that day comes, it'll give you an alert that whole day that day is the new moon, or the high, this high holy day or that high holy day. Stop being lazy. All right? Put in some work. So, when I was sitting there at the park, I was meditating upon a certain thing that happened, years ago at the One West school. This one, we were going up to One West. I believe it was once a month. And I've told this story before. I was with Karataza, which we call Mingding. And he was a Benjamite brother, but he was a very dark Benjamite brother. Coolest cat you ever want to meet. Dude was smooth and cool as hell, And you have a guy by the name of Shia Allah, I believe his name was. Brothers call him Shia Liar. And he was the one that was on the Montel Williams show with the whip, And he made Montel Williams look bad, which is beautiful. That was a beautiful thing that he did, Spirit was on him, and he went right through that like a champion, And he came up to both of us, and back then, we're looking at all of those men in great esteem, great honor. From King Masha to the top 7, to the rest of the men in great honor. So he saluted Karataza, and I went to salute him. I gave him the full hearty salute, and he just looked at me and walked away. And that shit devastated me, But what it is they look at someone with light skin as being an Edomite, but they'll speak about it, but they'll never bring you the other side of it, where you have chocolate looking, Edomites, you have caramel looking Edomites, and other different, looking Edomites. They never talk about that. So if a dude was an Edomite, but just because he had brown skin and an afro, came up to them guys and saluted them, they would salute him with a full hearty salute, like he's a brother. So you have to keep in mind that you have Edomites all around the world that are like that. And right now they are the ones that are in rulership, not the chocolate looking ones, because they were excommunicated, from that, ilk, so to speak. But the so-called white looking ones, beginning with the international banking families. Now, when we read the Bible tells us that Esau would be the last ruler, or the Edomites. It also says that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked in possession. So they will be ruling it. And it also identifies the Edomites as the people that are the wicked. And that, on top of all other prophecies that speak about these Edomites and the characteristics of them, if you can't see that those are the Edomites, you're either blind or you're paid off. You're a big demon, that was paid off to offset or try to deviate, the truth. And that's what's happening. The truth is busting right through. So it goes on to say, it says, the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other questions Ezra asked thou not. So Esau being the end of the world and Jacob the beginning of it that followeth, if this empire doesn't fall, then the kingdom of heaven can never come. And that's why Yahushua with the angels, Michael and the archangels, rest of the archangels, and the rest of the angels are coming to take this devil down. That's the army that the Most High set up to take these devils down. And that's going to be that final war, in the heavens, which these wacky-tacky Christians call, Satan and his angels fighting against the Lord and his angels, Michael and his angels. And they don't understand it at all. And when you read another chapter in Revelation dealing with that same topic, it speaks about Yahushua fighting against the military. Where do you think they get all these ideas, to make these, when so-called aliens, come from another planet fighting against, the militaries, especially the American military, what do you think they get those ideas from? From the Bible. You know, that movie ID4, what do you think that was all about? That was about the angels and Esau fighting against them. You know? But anyway, let's see. Let's jump down to the... So, just bear with me 1 second. All right, Salaki for that. I had to cough that nasty stuff up. Plus, I had to, use the bathroom real quick. All right, so... All right, I'll start at 15. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, meaning of the end. And how is it speaking? By signs and wonders. For the word is of the end. And the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved. See? Why? Because every time a certain portion of time goes by, another prophecy speaks. Something moves forward. Let's go real quick to Habakkuk, chapter 3. I remember when I first read this, I was like, wow, this is heavy. Habakkuk 3:1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech, meaning what? Your prophecies, and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy works in the midst of the years. Why? Because there is a set or allotted time. That's what the scriptures speak about, measure the times. In the midst of the years, make known, in wrath remember mercy. And that is our sentiment. When all hell breaks loose, and the Lord started getting busy on the earth, please remember mercy upon us. And that's pretty much the main point that I wanted to get. Revive thy works, because we read here. And why? Because this is back in 2 Ezra 6:16. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved. For it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And that's why this devil and his empire and these heathen empires have to go down before the Lord can set up his kingdom. Hey, well, Barakateh how about Shem Shai for that, brother. And Lord's will, I find favor in the eyes of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Like, I'm sure you brothers and sisters would like to also. It says, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And we also read about this in Revelation, and other scriptures where it speaks about Yahweh Shai having, the voice as the sounds of many waters. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. So the Most High is going to visit the earth by who? By his son Yahushai. And this is why the very next chapter goes into what? Yahushai, the chariots, and everything that's going to go down. The same thing that it says in Revelation 12 or Revelation 19 about Yahushai fighting these armies. Isaiah 34 says the same thing, that the Lord is gathering those armies to pour upon them his indignation. That says that in Zephaniah 3 and 8 also, and many other precepts. And I will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have unjustly and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, right? Because these devils have hurt the earth and have hurt the people of the earth unjustly, with their constant, probing and, their constant experimenting. That's why everybody's all messed up. Even when you have a decent diet, you still feel messed up. Why? Because these devils, It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. So the Lord is saying that when this world comes to an end, then will I show these tokens. These are the signs that are going to be seen on the earth. The books shall be opened before the firmament. What are the books? The books are the Bible. What is the firmament? What they call today the ozone layer. How is the Bible being, opened before the firmament? Are people flying up there with the Bible? Is there a big ladder, being built to bring the Bible up there? Are they building another Tower of Babel to try to get up there to fulfill this? No. What you have up there right now are satellites. And satellites, you have satellites on the earth and satellites in orbit. And what those satellites do is they emit different signals from one to another. And depending on where that satellite is and what areas it covers, it emits images and voice, across the world. And this is how, the Bible is being opened before the firmament of the heaven. Another good scripture is in the book of Psalms, the 19th chapter, and also I believe Job 39. These are internet scriptures. Romans 10:18 is another good one. Where these signals are being emitted across the world, to bring forth these lessons, to seal the elect of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and also to chant down Babylon, this place is going down. It says, then when I show these tokens, the book shall be opened before the firmament, and what? And they shall see all together. Because one of the things that the Lord said would happen when these devils go down, because they say that they, that they are the people of the Lord, that they, they put in the back of their money and their court systems, and God we trust. But then when you look at their actions, what God are they trusting in? That's why the Lord says, Psalms 50:16, but unto the wicked, which are the Edomites, the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Which is what? The Bible, the truth. Seeing thou hatest instruction, and casteth my words behind thee. So now if you're being honest with yourself and you assess the situation of what's going on in the world today, and you look at what's going on in the world today, these devils claim to be God-fearing people, but then when you look at their action, their legislation, the things that they allow, everything goes contrary to the Bible. They only use the Bible when it benefits them. They use the power of the Bible to benefit them. But then when it comes to the actions don't add up. It's not what a person says that is of effect. It is what they do that reveals their true intentions. That's why Yahushua said it's not what goes into a man, which is dirt, because that goes out in a drought, but what comes out of a man that defiles him, adulteries and all these things that come from within, they defile a man. Right? So when we jump down to the 20th verse, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. And that's why it says, the accuser of thy brethren. And that's what they are. You know, they're a bunch of slanderers, and that's what the word devil means. You know, we say it means deceiver, which you could use it as that, but it really means slanderer. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Right? So it goes on to say, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. See? So the Lord allowed this to happen. Why? Because we sinned against the Lord, and this was part of our punishment. It says, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself. Right, because the Lord didn't do anything to you. You bought into that whole white supremacist thing that God is white, Jesus is white, the angels are white, the Israelites are white. You bought into that. You bought into your own lie. When just a short time ago, going back to the 13, 14, 1500s, you knew you was out there erasing all of those dark images all over Europe. You know, when you type in, let's see, Dura, Europus, Moses, and Aaron. Here we go. Let's try that. What do you have? You have a picture of Moses and Aaron. I always get these mixed up. I always think that the shorter one was Moses and the taller one was Aaron, but I think somebody said that this one is Moses and this one is Aaron. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But if you look at them, they look brown skinned, they look ruddy. They don't look like no so-called white looking people. They don't look like small hats. They look like Israelites, Jakes, so-called Negroes. All right? And if you look over to the other side of it, what do you have? I believe that's supposed to be the Egyptian armies chasing them, if I'm not mistaken. Unless those are other Israelites following them. But I know that the Egyptians, they had their horse and buggy, so to speak, the chariots. All right. So these images are still up. So just imagine the many images that are all over Europe that they weren't able to get to. And that's why when you go to certain places in Europe that have these icons, if you're a Jake, you're not allowed to go see them. Why is that? Because they know that they'll have a Richard Pryor moment. What's this? The great book of life? In the beginning, God in all his blackness created the black. What? I'm going to tell all the brothers about this. And what happened? Them devils started backing up slowly. Close it up, cover it up. Nothing to see here. And then they bulldoze it over, showing you that that's exactly what these devils do. If you type in that skit, I'm not sure where that skit was from, but if you type in that skit, and it should still come up on YouTube, and pretty much that's what these devils do. That's why if you a person that see, they got so much this information out there that a lot of people don't really pay attention to what the Israelites are saying. But we're still a threat, but not as much of a threat as someone that's in a prestigious, position. Richard Pryor, I said Richard Pryor, right? I didn't say anybody else, did I? Because if you had somebody that was famous saying these things, they approach him, and if they don't change their ways, they put a hit on them. That's why they step to what's his name? The rapper, damn, I forgot his name. He said, don't call me black no more. I'm an Israelite. Forgot his name. Doesn't matter. And others. You don't hear that no more. You don't hear them, these a lot of celebrities coming out talking about they're Israelites. So going back, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such a one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Kendrick Lamar, the water, bro. The water, brothers. And set them in order before thine eyes. And that's how the Lord is reproving these devils, by setting us up in order before their eyes. And this is what's happening. They're having a problem with that, because they're having a containment problem. They never had that in their life. They never had a problem with containing things because they have the money to do it. See, and they know they can't just do away with the whole thing, because people are gonna be like, "Oh, wait a minute, well, why did you get rid of all them people?" You know, there'll be a lot of questions that'll be asked. That's what they do, is they set up false information. Then if you type in, such and such happened, which they call conspiracy theories, and then you go to fact check it. Who's fact checking it? Google. Who runs Google? Small hats. So of course, if there's something that they don't like, it's gonna be like, "Oh, that's false." That's false. Them sugarness fatzas, man. I can't believe they said that. That's false. Goddamn schmuck. Romans 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. Into who? The Israelites. Oh, pretty much. They don't, like this individual asked, what did Netanyahu mean when he said, once we squeeze all we can out of the United States, it can dry up and blow away? Yeah, well, you got parasites out there. And what does a parasite do? It goes from host to host. And once the host has nothing else to give, they move on to the next host. I'll just leave it at that. So after 3 days and a half, which is 350 years, when you go through this whole chapter, it breaks it down. And after that point, we would be, that whole time we would be in a dead state. And eventually the spirit of life from the Lord will enter into us. And once the spirit of life entered into us, which makes us a quickening spirit, it says, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And this is what's happening. What's happening is great fear is falling upon them. That's why they're trying to cover up their tracks. That's why they have individuals like Vocab and other so-called theologians and so on and so forth, whatever's coming out. Other Jakes. Because really, Esau don't know shit. I mean, their scholars know stuff, but whenever they got something to do against a nation, they use other people of that same nation to quell the situation. Just like when you go back to 70 AD, Titus Caesar, or Titus, was given the credit for taking down Jerusalem, but it was really TJA, or Tiberius Julius Alexander, which was a so-called Negro, that was a general, that was the one that really took it down, because this guy was inexperienced. So they see this going on and they want to stop it, and they can't. So going back to 2nd Ezra 6:20, the book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together, because now the exposure is going on. You want to read more about it? Go to 2nd Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. Read that whole chapter. It tells you how the Lord is going to reveal this devil by the spirit of his mouth, which are his prophets, and then destroy him with the brightness of his coming, which is the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth them tiny children of 3 or 4 months old. That's preemies. And they Salakia. And they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, which we're witnessing that right now. We're witnessing Salakia. We're witnessing farmers killing their crops, destroying their crops and their livestock, being paid off by the government. This is a worldwide thing. Oh, that's old. Kodak Black. That's old. That's old news. Saying that's old news. That goes back to like Kendrick Lamar and them back then also. That's old news. He ain't talking that stuff no more. unless he just recently started saying it again. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound. Right, so you see that happening. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Yeah. Because it's an alarm. When you hear an alarm, that was, a warning that something bad was going to happen. And this particular sound is not going to be very good. This particular sound is not going to be very good. Because the way things are heading towards the end of this year into the beginning of next year, it's going to be rough. It says, at that time shall friends fight against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. Yeah, because you see the state of the world as it is today. The springs of fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. You see a lot of droughts happening, a lot of man-made droughts. There's situations going on around just dealing with America and around the world, with droughts and, restriction on water use. It says, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation in the end of your world. That's why it says, he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. This is dealing with the elect. And the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. Why? Because the Lord is going to open up their minds to be able to see the truth, and to see it in a different light. As to before, we were all caught up under that cloudy haze that everybody else is caught up under. Once the Lord shine his light upon us, now we're able to see what others can't. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. And that's what's happening. Evil is being put out, and deceit is being quenched. By what? By the truth. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And that's what's happening. That's why, as the name of the title is, at the end, the truth shall speak. And that's why you have this devil here, this small hat, bringing out pictures and saying, yeah, the Israelites, they were like a brown-skinned people right here, but then all of a sudden he throws in King David being red, and, in other words, he glazed it over with bullshit, trying to, insert themselves in there. This is what the devil does. They always try to insert themselves somewhere they don't belong. That's why you have vocab and the Calvinist movement and all that nonsense, pushing a doctrine called supersessionism, or replacement theology, which in order for them to fit into the covenant, they have to erase the Israelites so that they can come in. Now, it's the Israelites, no longer the Israelites. They're gone. It's the believers in Christ. Those are the people that are going to be saved. They always glaze shit over with bullshit. And they are the biggest cherry pickers on the planet when it comes to, dealing with and handling the scriptures. They handle the scriptures very deceitful. And that's the tactics of the devil. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.